Hey gang, welcome. Quick Draft is Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths right now, and thought we would check in with the bots. I've been hearing mixed reports from the world. I have my perspective. I've played a couple of quick drafts off screen, off camera, and have had great success effectively forcing cycling. Obviously, you're somewhat beholden to the payoffs that happen to be in the 24 boosters that you are opening. But I don't see the bots like hardcore stopping you from getting those tools. I see snare tacticians going around. I see all sorts of good cycling payoffs going around late still. So I'm still in the mindset of effectively force cycling, maybe not hard force, but a soft force of cycling seems to hook you up with a reliable deck basically every time. If a lot of people do that, the problem with the format is that it tends to be cycling mirrors, and that's just a reality of Ikoria Quick Draft unless they do something about the bots and have them draft the key cycling parts higher. But we haven't seen that from them yet, and it feels like it's just not worth it to Wizards, and I get it. You know, you've got a finite amount of people hours to apply to your various tasks and projects and goals and systems and products and deliverables. So you've got this finite squad looking to make things awesome for standard or whatever. Do you want to pluck one of your people out, pull them over and say, hey, can you spend a bunch of your clock time tweaking those Ikoria bots so the bot experience is a little bit better on the quick draft format that we're going to bring back for 2 weeks and then maybe never see again? It's like, no, of course you're not. You're not really going to invest that time because the return on investment just isn't high enough to do that. So a lot of these bot drafts end up languishing in whatever exploitable state they were in the last time you looked. That's what I've experienced, and we're going to find out for sure. I've also experienced incredible customer service, product availability, buy listing, and inventory and all that stuff at my sponsor cardkingdom.com. Please check them out via my affiliate link. You can get that in the panels, in the YouTube notes, in the chat link. Lets them know you got there from here, helps keep me on the air. But anything you need for your Magic game, they either have or they get back in stock quickly. So if they don't have what you're looking for, make sure to use that restock notice and they'll get it in right quick and you can snap it up. We are going to jump in for gems here. Sure, why not? Hey now, I'm going to get out of your way, I promise. Here we go. So if we are forcing cycling, what do we take here? Well, actually, we take Inspired Ultimatum. This is actually pretty great in cycling. I love this as the end game of my cycling decks. If I don't have a Zenith, for example, like you just end up getting to cast this. Hopefully, we wheel a Tranquil Cove. The bots don't tend to take the lands very highly either, so you can get a suite of these to make this thing more possible. Sanctuary Smasher jumps out, and let's see, we got. I'm looking for 1-mana cyclers. Do we see any of those? No. No one. So this is actually pretty weak on the cycling front, but it's also pretty weak on the red-white front, which is good because maybe the bots, if they have any inclination to get into red and white and mess up my cycling picks, this is not going to kind of force them into that. So I expect them to take the bots to take other things. We're going to start on the Ultimatum. Yeah, Bastion's fine, but I don't see non-cycling cards. I'm forcing cycling, and now, like, see, our question is whether we take Tactician or Rescuer. I think Tactician's more important to the deck than Rescuer. This is a fine payoff, but Tacticians are the heart of how this deck functions if you don't have a Zenith Flare, especially. Like, all I want is all the Tacticians and 1-mana cyclers you can get me. What do we got here? Cathartic Reunion is a little early to be taking it. I would rather take a 1-mana cycler, but they just don't exist here. There's a bunch of 2-mana cyclers. Those are easy to come by, though. The kind of my priorities for cycling are 1-mana cyclers of any stripe, 2-mana cyclers in red and white and lightly in blue, and then 2-mana cyclers outside of the core Jeskai colors that I want to be in here. I mean, if you're drafting like a normal person, you could take a Ram through, you know, Essence Scatter or whatever. But I'm working the angle. We're gonna see if forcing cycling can pay off, and I'm taking the Cathartic Reunion narrowly over the Will of the All Hunter, just because, again, cycling 2 tends to be pretty darn easy to come by. The tricky part is cycling 1. That is, if you've done the math, half as much as cycling 2. Whoa. You okay there, bot? All right, here we go. This is best of both worlds. It's cycling 1 and it's castable. These are excellent. Any of these 1 mana creature cyclers are among my favorite 1 mana cyclers, the ones that we can cast. Crystal. I like the crystals as a priority. Like, I didn't mention these, but like between on-color spell cycling and off-color 2 mana cyclers are the crystals, which are castable if you need to. And nothing else here says cycle or is of interest to me right now, so we're taking the crystal. Moloch is fine as a cycling payoff and a cycler. And Spell Leader is acceptable in these decks as well. You'd much prefer the prickly Marmoset, but Spell Leaders are fine in the 3 slot if you don't get your Marmosets. Evolving Wilds over Weaponize or Will. Weaponize, if we were spitting out the tokens, I'd be all over the Weaponize. Or if you could show me that we were going to get that 1/1 token maker at some point in the draft. But I think I'm just going to stick to the plan. And actually, with the Inspired Ultimatum, I'm going to take the Evolving Wilds. Again, just 2 mana cyclers tend to be pretty available. Here we go. This isn't a 1 mana cycler, but this is the flip side of the Vantasaur, the 6-drop cycler that we really want in the deck. If there was a 1 mana cycler in here, it might compete for the Lava Serpent, but a coordinated charge certainly does not. Tranquil Cove came back around as I figured. And another Cathartic Reunion. You generally only want 1, though. We could take the Weaponize here in case we can make use of it later. You can also get some random creatures. I mean, they don't... It's just not what you want to be doing in the deck. You either really want to be doing cycling or cycling payoffs and removal. Like, that's all I want out of this deck. Cycling, payoffs, and removal. But we'll take the Weaponize and put it in the board now and see if it becomes useful later. Here we have a generic cycling 2. We'll take that. Blazing Volley maybe is technically removal, but not what I'm talking about. We want the cliffs anyway. Cycling 2 on the snare would be nice, but I want to pick up the lands to help us do Inspired Ultimatum, and that's going to help us get there. You can also occasionally do a combat tricky thing, but hopefully we don't play the Spontaneous Flight or this one. So pretty medium for the results from a first pack of forced cycling. Let's see how the rest of the draft goes. Drannith Healer jumps out. What else have we got? We want this Crag on the wheel. This has 2 of our colors, so I wouldn't mind that on the wheel either. But pretty easy Drannith Healer. Another Drannith Healer and observing another Cove that I'd like to see on the wheel. Here's another Cycle 1. You want to pick these up, but we have a Cycle 1 here that's on color and castable. Much better. Stinger is even better than the healers, so nice to pick up a Stinger. And another Frost. This could wheel. Sometimes these wheel. This is likely to wheel. I like a Farfinder when I'm trying to get Inspired Ultimatum as well, but we're taking the Stinger. Rob wants to somehow cast the other Ultimatum. I don't think that's happening, Rob. We're going to cast this one, though. That's my goal. Could take a Lord Dracus since we're heading towards these colors. We can take a Windscarred Crag to help us cast our ultimatum, but we do have a Cycle 2 and a Divine Arrow. Removal is still important. It's not a great piece of removal, but I'm going to take it. We need a little bit of removal. I'm going to hope we keep wheeling these lands. Startling Development as a 1-mana cycler is going to beat out the on-color 2-mana cycler. Not the tap land we're looking for. Shredded Sails is going to be fine here. It says cycle, and we can cast it when it's good. Lava Serpent again over a coordinated charge. Another crystal, but this one isn't really near our colors. Again, I would play a Farfinder given the inspired ultimatum we're trying to work towards, but not over a Lava Serpent. Another Lava Serpent, fine. There's an Avian Oddity that has cycling though. We're enough blue that we could take this take this instead. Maybe I'll try this one. Yeah, let's take this. A little more expensive to cycle and requires a color, but we're trying to do that thing anyway. I really want to play the Inspired Ultimatum, so we're going to have some blue. Startling Development comes around for the 1-mana cycler, but we do have a Windscarred Crag as well. No, you do not need a Zenith Flare. Zenith Flare just makes your deck bonkers, but the idea that if you don't have a Zenith Flare, you don't have a good cycling deck is just not true. Right now, it's not good, though, because we don't like... The best payoff we have is Snare Tactician. We need something better. I want more Snare Tacticians or some of the uncommon payoffs that we don't have yet. But that could just be a not in the packs thing. I'm expecting to wheel some more lands. So, if it was, I probably just missed it. What did I take over it? I mean, what did I take last pick? If I passed a fully on color crystal. Oddity, right. Yeah, then I guess maybe you could have argued for the crystal. Crystal would have been pretty good. I just didn't see it, I guess. Maybe it's these treatments on it. Valiant Rescuer would be great. We passed a Valiant Rescuer for a Snare Tactician, but my question here is Crag versus Development. I'm going to take the Cycle 1 over the Fixing, because I think we're going to wheel a couple more of these. The ETB tapped lands just tend to be pretty available against the bots. Someone calling for Forbidden Friendship, it's a fine card, but I'm just not taking him over Cycle 1. More crystals, partly on color crystal, a castable charge. We're certainly not taking this over this, but I'm taking Cove. And here we get a Shredded Sails, that's fine. Nothing here really matters. I'm going to take a Terran. Sometimes you're okay running one of these as the hexproof is real. In fact, I'll even leave it in the deck for now and we'll see. This is a sometimes playable. Are you not someone? Rob is owned up to being a bot. So it's finally just face up on the table. Rob is a pester bot. So Winota is a constructed powerhouse, but what does it do for us? It's a 4/4 for 4, and when a non-human, you look for humans, right? So let's, we do have a lot of humans. We have a healer, 2 healers and a stinger. And I believe Tactician's a human. And we do have some things to attack with that aren't humans. So this is playable. Not amazing, but it's a mythic also, where we could do some, I mean, it's 40 gems for us. 40 gems and a playable, or some removal. I'm gonna be greedy and go 40 gems and a playable. But Gedan more at the Pro Tour, I think you're right. We probably just take the removal there. For now, we're gonna take a castable Cycle 1, although I've only cast this when it literally will win the game, but I have actually cast a Footfall Crater to win target game. Mostly, though, you cycle this for 1. Flourishing Fox, one of the big payoffs. Glad to see that. This is the type of thing we're hoping for to make this deck really sing without a Zenith Flare. I want like 1 or 2 more uncommon level payoffs, and then I'll feel actively good about this deck. Right now, it's a little thin on payoffs. Stinger is somewhat payoffy. I'm going to call this payoffy enough, at least. This is kind of fun to run in this type of deck, but Stinger is what we need. It's not the premium uncommon payoff. But here we go. That's what I'm talking about. Now, if we wheel this, I'm seeing it this time. If we wheel this crystal, we'll take it. But this is the type of uncommon payoff that I was hoping to find. Coordinated charge is acceptable. We could also take, actually, I'll take a neutralize. This deck will more likely find value hard casting a lucky neutralize later in the game than it is generally going to find hard casting a coordinated charge. And they both cycle for 2. That cat is the worst of the uncommon payoffs. The fox or the cat? Oh, this cat, yeah. Maybe. I mean, there's some... You'd have to lay them out for me. I think there's one more that I consider weaker. But this is not bad. You just got to like play it on 5. I mean, if you play it on 5 with the 1 mana cycler, you get to play it, cycle for 1, and lightning helix something. I mean, Rob, if you're calling this the worst of them, it just shows how strong this cycle is no pun intended, how strong this deck is. Because I think this is excellent. But you're right that there are other ones that you would prioritize above it. Still, taking the neutralize here. Another Footfall Crater comes around for us. We could take a Spell Eater if we felt like we were short on threats. And we certainly don't have anything that's paying us off for having a huge, like the Zenith Flare that's like counting cycling in the graveyard. But I can't do it. I think one mana cycling is still kind of the heart of the deck, and I'm not going to pass them. Another one. And same philosophy. Another Cathartic Reunion. I think we could run 2 in this deck, since we're almost more combo at this point, looking to get up to ultimatums, find and cast ultimatum, basically, to get so much value that we're out of reach. And you can always pitch one reunion to the other if you draw both when you don't want to. Wingspan, Mentor, just like we are playing some blue, I get it, but this just doesn't really fit into what the deck's trying to do. But I'm going to take a Sabertooth. I would rather just play a random 2-drop 3-power creature, because sometimes that's the thing. You just you get these down early and you Snare Tactician and get through with the 3-1. Raking Claws, as it's better than the Sergeant for our deck. Another Raking Claws. We can take an Otter. I'm just going to stick to the plan, though. Go hard in on cycling. We did get our Crystal back. That's nice. So we did not end up with the payoffs that I want. We have a couple of boring creatures. This happens to me a lot as well. A Raptor and a 3-1 or whatever. But they just sit there kind of being high-powered, otherwise boring creatures that can get in if the rest of your deck is working the way you want it to. So here's how I build my cycling decks. I guess, actually, I'm not even going to bother top creature. I'm going to start by putting everything that cycles for 1 mana, whether it's a payoff or not, whether I'm looking to hard cast it or not. If it cycles for 1, I put it over here. Thought we had more 1. Here's a 1. We didn't wheel any... Oh, starting the development. I thought we had some blue ones. There we go. There we go. What else? Anything I'm missing? I bet we don't have room for the Barrier Breach, but we'll see. Okay, I think that's all on the 1s. And then over here, I'm going to put the 2s. So let's put... And here I want to put cycling payoffs. And then here is support cards. Cycling payoffs, cyclers, support card, cycler, support card, cycler, It's removal, but still a support card. Cycler, and then probably just not even playing this. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 1-mana cyclers lets us shave off quite a bit of mana. We can probably cut 17. We can go at least 14, if not 13. So if this is 17, we go 16, 15, 14. That's probably reasonable for mana. So then we are looking at cutting the worst of our 2-mana cyclers, basically. Or, you know, you can cut some of your support cards, but we are dense enough on cyclers that we can cut, like, this. Actually, what is our least? Maybe it's like a Shredded Sails? Yeah, but it's good. I mean, I'm going to run this. I think maybe I'm just being stubborn because I took it over other good stuff. But I do want to try it. I think we're going to get our blue. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sources of blue plus all the cycling. And getting something flying could be a big deal. Moloch, serpents, or whatever getting up in the air can really matter. So I want to try it. Oh, yeah, sure. I just call this 2+ cycling is really why I had it here. But what do we cut? I can't cut any of the ones. So then it's definitely like a clause and like a sail, or maybe we just give up on the neutralize. And maybe one of these support cards can go. Like if we got Winota, maybe we can give up a Raptor, or maybe one Cathartic Reunion drops out of this. Could even go to 13 with all this cycling. But with Evolving Wilds, thinning a land out of the deck when we do draw it, I think I like staying at 14 on this front. Leaving us with one more cut to make. And how? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 cyclers. I think I'm just going to cut the Sabertooth. It's pretty irrelevant to the deck. These decks are so weird though, right? We're just looking. We didn't get the Zenith Flare that would put this deck over the top. Like if we have a Zenith Flare, we have a plan, right? We still have a plan, but like Zenith Flare just makes it quite clear. We're just going to cycle forever till we find the Flare and try and win. So Zenith Flare is this deck on easy mode. We're not on easy mode, but this is not a bad version of the deck. It's a little light on payoffs, but it's not bad. If Oppo has a bunch of removal, we could come up short. If Oppo does not have removal, we should be able to find what we need to control the game and take it down. But we're going to call this Forced Cycling Bot Test. Pretty cold and clinical name, but that's what we did. That's what we're trying. Let's throw this on for some action. 4, 5, 6, 7 sources of white inherently. 5, 6, 7 sources of red. So I like the 7, 7, 5 type split here. Looks good. Can't cut an island. And let's go.
Oh, you guys made me eat.
I got an inkling. This is going to be fun. I'm not going to finish all these games, by the way, for you YouTube friends. I forgot to mention that, but this is a little extra content at the end of the stream here. We'll play a couple of times, see how it goes. Oh yeah, let's see. I should go to... I'll try to get to the IKO meme level here. Well, maybe I just need... Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch my button panel to the Ikoria one. Put it right back on top. There we go. I don't remember where any of these buttons are, but look. We got the Jaws sound. We got, let's see. Maybe there weren't that many anyway. I don't even look like I have that many memes. Y'all have spoiled me with this. All right, we're gonna keep this, obviously. Do we cycle on one? Drawing a third land, the answer is no. Oh yeah, sorry, here, I will change all this. But I should play my turn first. I'm gonna hard cast the healer. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and risk running out the Thundermane here, although we could risk... We just play the Raptor, but I like sneaking in this tapped land, getting the Thundermane, and then if we untap, we get Cycle and Helix the Otter, and this becomes immediately must kill. If they got removal in their hand, they have to use it on this. It defines their next turn, and then we have the Healer to block the Otter in that case. Oh, Hat, what have you done to me? Don't call me Otter, not fit to. The picture kept will remind me. Don't call me Otter, not fit to. The picture kept will remind me. Let's pitch the Lava Serpent to kill the... Well, maybe we kill... This is 2, right? It's not an actual Lightning Helix. So let's kill the Otter while we can. I can do a Startling Development. I might as well. All this is really going to do for us is cycle. I mean, you can sometimes get them. Like, maybe we should actually try and get them with the development. No, I'm not. We're going to do that tomorrow, D. Including yours, okay? Yeah, like if you can't kill you should have attacked with Otter for sure, because we would have been forced to block. Now it's just going to die. I'm just trying to figure out if I want to save the development. I'm going to go ahead and cycle the Serpent here. Could offer the Thundermane since we don't have anything to kill with it, but it's too powerful. We're going to hold. I'm just afraid this is going to become a 3-4 or better and be much tougher for us to kill. I didn't want him to untap. I don't see why I should give him a chance to untap and muck up my clean kill. So now Startling Development could get him and kind of surprise him and like potentially eat. But I think I just want Cycle Crater and then play Raptor if we don't find anything. We can even do Healer number 2 Cycle. I'm a little worried about how big this is getting though, but I don't know how we do anything about it for now. So maybe we're just trying to race. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to do that. Closing in on Ultimatum mana. We got 5 here. This is going to be 6. I'm going to hard cast this. If we find a land, we're there. Tactician is great. I'm going to go Tactician, Crystal Tactician. But it's not 3 planes. This is, yeah, if we drew a planes, it would be bad. If we drew a planes, we would not have it. You're right. But this can be an island for us, is what so specifically a planes would not be an out to that, but hopefully we find a non-planes. I could also, we can't cycle anything to tap, so I'm actually just going to play the Raptor here. Threaten to trade. Creamer, aka coffee whitener, as I call it. You want some coffee whitener? Oh yeah, I almost screwed that up, but I looked at my remaining mana. Darn it! I was like, okay, this is still okay because we can take out the 5/6 with ultimatum, but as I was afraid of, they've now gotten big enough. However, we are in a decent spot with Snare Tactician looking to cycle our way to glory. I don't need to play the Crater now. If I cycle the Crater, we could find land, and especially if it's EB tapped land, we might want it for the ultimatum. Well, your fiance rocked, Chimero Gaming. I approve of that message. Sure. You can tap it, but it doesn't stop me from tapping your stuff. Ooh, Fox is interesting. Because on the one hand, we could tap this down with it. But on the other hand, if we cast this, we might start... This could be our win condition. But I think I'm going to count on our heavy density of cycling. And yeah, we can just cast it with Moloch. That's a good plan, too. I was going to cast the bigger one. But let's... there's a lot of options with Moloch is the thing. But I like this. We have just a lot of ones, a lot of one-mana cycling. Let's try and make this deck work. This is why Snare Tactician is, I think, basically the most important card in the cycling deck. Besides Zenith Flare, it's hard to argue with Zenith Flare, but Tactician does so much work. And how about Moloch casting? Yeah, I guess Moloch casting Fox is fine here. It gets us 2 spell, and we can still cycle the Crater. We're gaining so much life, I practically don't care about them attacking anymore anyway. I almost want to tap down the checkpoint officer so that we can successfully attack back. But in this case, we'll go ahead and tap down the biggest of these. Bring it. Bring your 6/7 into my 32. I want you to. Attack, Oppo. Attack me. think D probably has 17 reasons he could rattle off that he doesn't like cow's milk, but... Let's see. This says whenever a non-human creature controls, so like we can just play an attack and then that's going to be powerful, right? Except we don't have any cycling right now. Maybe I should just ultimatum the checkpoint officer and see if we draw some cycling. But Tactician needs to be down for that to matter anyway. I don't think it matters yet, Cardling. I think we do it next turn, because if we get Tactician, Winota, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. With 8 mana, we play Winota and Tactician, and then next turn we ultimatum, and if we draw a 1 mana cycler, we have taps. So I'm going to do that. Well, they got our Winota, but that's okay. I think Tactician is more important. Not that they could get it with Tactician, but the point is, the thing that I want to keep alive is our Tactician, and then we're okay. So ideally, after ultimatum, we end up with a land and 2 1-mana cyclers, and then we can keep these things controlled. But we're going to take out the checkpoint officer. Target player gains 5 life. 5 damage to any target. Yeah, we could go face, but I think the checkpoint officer still matters is the thing. Gidanmore wants to go face and get him to 7. What does that do for us? If we draw... I guess if we draw 2 cyclers, we could even win this turn. All right, I'm with you, Gidanmore. Let's go for face. But it's very close for me between these two, but worth mentioning that. If we find our cycling, the officer shouldn't matter, right? Because we tap it before we untap. And we get enough life here that... All right, well, we did find a land, but it's not an untapped land. We get 1 Snare Tactician tap. At 28, though, I say we use it. Let's go Evolving Wilds. Go ahead and thin our deck out. I'm just going to do this now before I forget. Do that. And now, yeah, Claw's Oddity. Maybe that's the plan. Yeah, let's just go. I mean, we can still attack if we want to. Well, we can't get Stinger in play because we don't have the mana. I like the line that we can just win next turn if we use... I could tap offensively right now. Here's the thing. We could cycle and tap this down, swing in, and get them to 3, right? But getting them to 3 doesn't really change the clock on getting them dead next turn with all the other stuff we have going on. So I'm going to say no attacks, and I'm going to focus on winning next turn. We can even play Stinger and get some extra damage in from that if we cycle off of that. Yeah, I'm going to tap the officer now, in that we don't care if we get attacked by these. And in fact, I'm not going to tap the officer until the end of their turn. So let's encourage them to attack. Go for it. We're out of cycling. What are you going to, what can we do? They're too clever for that, but we're going to, yes, tap the officer first. That's fair too, Rob. Rob liked the line, or at least noticed the line. Like, we could have gotten them to 3 and then stung them out next turn. It's like, in general, I think we're in a good spot here. If we can just get the cycling we're looking for. So we cycle this. Yeah, we're fine. This has to be something. I mean, they could still have something here, but looks like we're good. I'm going to start with Oddity. Well, let's see. Let's start with Stinger played, right? Because we still have 2 cycling from there. Just trying to make sure I don't want the Stinger as cycler, right? Tapping Flyer. Targeting Moloch. Might as well go big. And that starts to make it a little easier. We can play this out and even have now 2 cycling available. Do I even need to? Let's just do this. Maybe they'll scoop to this. Shouldn't even need the Raking Claws at this point. Oppo agrees. Well, you know, I could play another game or whatever. I think maybe I'll hold this and we might play some more. But I think my main goal for doing a quick draft here was to force cycling and see how it goes. We did that. We saw that while we didn't necessarily have the payoffs in those packs to have it be an incredible cycling deck, you can see that just by putting our blinders on and going in and forcing the cycling, we still ended up with a quite playable, quite good deck. So if you want a solid floor, you can go in and cycle and force cycling. During the draft, though, a lot of people noticed, though, that there was a white-black sacrifice deck there as well. There was like Mardu sacrifice, and so it's not that you have to. You're not just doing it wrong if you come into quick draft and don't cycle. You're doing it wrong if you come into quick drafts and don't have any fun. So figure out what's fun for you, of course. But if you like playing the cycling deck and you like having a solid floor on what you're going to get out of quick draft, you can basically force cycling and know you're going to have something manageable. They can be tough to navigate. And what did I say? We have light payoffs. If they can remove our payoffs, we might be in trouble. But if they can't kill our payoffs, it's still good enough. And that happens a lot. Like you saw that we got 1 Snare Tactician, 1. But that Snare Tactician won that game because Oppo couldn't remove it. So it's going to be pretty swingy. And ideally, you get the density of especially the Snare Tacticians to prevent opponents from being able to knock out your 1 pillar that's holding up your whole deck. But the point is there. You got to see 1 game of it playing out. You know how the rest of them are going to play out? About the same, except sometimes they're going to have removal for my key threats and I'll lose. But we'll pick that up either later or you can check into the YouTube notes of the video and I'll add the results once I have them if we don't actually play this out on stream again. So check for part 2 or check later for results in the YouTube notes if you want to see how this deck played out. But we're going to say goodbye to our YouTube friends for now on the 1 win here. And mainly we got the draft off so you could see how to force some cycling in Ikoria quick draft and end up with a totally serviceable deck almost every time. Yep. See ya, YouTube friends. Catch you next time.